We bring on Michael Schor. This guy has been so generous with us to show up on Fridays, and now he has come in on this day, a Wednesday after the debate. How about it for Michael Schor? He's forgotten more about politics than most of us will ever know. What were your thoughts on things, Michael?
First, let's clear something. I get time and a half for the Wednesday appearance. My takeaways. I'm confused, honestly, to hear your reaction to it. That you weren't over the moon. Look, I think this was as good a debate performance as anybody could have asked for from someone who's never debated as a nominee, who has never really given an interview as a nominee. With the only one she did give was with her running mate by her side.
Well, by the way, I don't mean to interrupt so early, but that qualifier that you just threw in there is not the qualifier that I'm hearing. I'm hearing this is the best debate from any presidential candidate in the history of debates. You just heard Chris Wallace say that.
Yeah, I don't know that that's the case, but it's got to be up there. It's got to be up there. But I do think. I was talking from your standpoint and the people that you have in your ecosphere there that you were talking of, who were very, very happy, happier than you were, because I'm saying from the standpoint of Kamala Harris being the nominee who hasn't been out there as much as the media wants her to be out there, this was a fantastic debate. It was textbook. It was the prosecutor in the courtroom, and who was not taking any guff from the defendant. And I think that that's a really important thing that came out of this. Right, was the sheer capability. Now, on the other hand, I was on the show on Friday saying that debates aren't won, they're lost. And I'm wrong. I was wrong. This was a debate that was won. I don't remember a debate that was won. I remember debates that were lost, and we talked about it. Nixon, Ford, Biden. Some people think that Ronald Reagan with the debate against Jimmy Carter, there he goes again, that was a win. No, that was a line, you remember. But Jimmy Carter was awful in that debate. And so it was a lost debate from a president. And this was just an extraordinary lesson on how to debate. And in the terms of what needed to be done in this election, because everything has to happen in its own context, the context of this was amazing, because she took over the nomination last night in front of America, not just in front of Democrats in Chicago. And she presented herself as a viable president. And that's a really important thing, rather than a viable candidate.
Albert, play for Michael and for us a little something. We'll start with the tariffs issue, which I thought was an easy one for her. In fact, the one thing I would have liked her to do in this spot was to explain, it's so easy, it can be done in 15 seconds, what a tariff is, why a tariff is a real tax on consumers. But go ahead, here is the tariff moment.
President, I do want to drill down on something you both brought up. The vice president brought up your tariffs, you responded, and let's drill down on this, because your plan is what she calls is essentially a national sales tax. Your proposal calls for tariffs, as you pointed out here, on foreign imports across the board. You recently said that you might double your plan, imposing tariffs up to 20% on goods coming into this country. As you know, many economists say that with tariffs at that level, costs are then passed on to the consumer. Vice President Harris has argued it'll mean higher prices on gas, food, clothing, medication, arguing it costs the typical family nearly $4,000 a year. Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs?
They're not going to have higher prices. What's going to have, and who's going to have higher prices, is China and all of the countries that have been ripping us off for years. I was the only president ever. China was paying us hundreds of billions of dollars, and so were other countries. And, if she doesn't like them, they should have gone out and they should have immediately cut the tariffs. But those tariffs are there 3.5 years now under their administration. We are going to take in billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I had no inflation, virtually no inflation. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country, because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy. And all you have to do is look at a poll. The polls say 80 and 85 and even 90% that the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
Vice President Harris, I do want to ask for your response, and you heard what the president said there, because the Biden administration did keep a number of the Trump tariffs in place. So how do you respond?
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is, under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out, when a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century, which means focusing on the details of what that requires, focusing on relationships with our allies, focusing on investing in American-based technology so that we win the race on AI, on quantum computing, focusing on what we need to do to support America's workforce so that we don't end up having on the short end of the stick in terms of workers' rights. But what Donald Trump did, let's talk about this, with COVID, is he actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet. Thank you, President Xi, exclamation point, when we know that Xi was responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of COVID.
President Trump, I'll let you
So
respond.
First of all,
clearly
they
she
bought
was
their
pivoting
chips
there,
from-
Michael, and pivoted to the China thing and to COVID. I thought she was pretty good through that, actually, at least trying to. I think she's strong for, on style, strength. I thought she seemed good, and trying to address some of the specifics. Your thought?
Yeah, I mean, I look. It's really hard. You can look at these debates as in two ways. The way we remember them, right? We remember You're No Jack Kennedy. We remember There He Goes Again, right? We remember moments. People in 25 years are probably going to talk about the Haitians are eating their pets in Ohio, right? They're not going to be talking about tariffs in China. So in the moment, it was about showing that this is somebody who knows her stuff. This is a man who's only defending his own record and not talking about going forward and future plans and that sort of thing. But it's also about demeanor and appearance. It's about capability. And so, yeah, you can drill down to what they're saying. They all had, both of them had ideas of what they wanted to hit. What Kamala Harris's performance was last night was the definition, the example of why you should always prepare for things really well, because she spent so much time preparing for this, knowing exactly what the former president was going to do and how she was going to react. He brought up China. She talked about tariffs. She talked about Xi and the President Xi. So I think that, yeah, you can say that, okay, she did well on that or she didn't do well on this. It was really, though, about demeanor. And that's what these debates are about, is what you come away from the debate thinking about that person. Joe Biden lost the presidency in a debate in June. Kamala Harris, if she wins the presidency, you'll look at this debate as a big part of that.
One of the things that's being pointed to today, and I saw a bit of it, Slate did a piece called "If You Want to Know Who Won the Debate, Watch Fox News the moment it ended." And Fox News, they had the wind knocked out of them a little bit, Michael. I did go over there and click on. They were sort of in that, they were complaining about the moderators. They're complaining about the moderators tremendously. Moderators correcting Trump, not correcting Harris. Fact-checking Trump repeatedly. The truth is they fact-checked Trump 3 times on the dog eating, on the after-birth abortion, and then there was one other time, I believe.
But the other thing, you fact-check a lie, right? And so you're going to fact-check Donald Trump because he is spewing lies much more than Kamala Harris did. Kamala Harris, if she lied, it was about jobs, manufacturing jobs that the Biden administration has helped to create. Super exaggerated number that she gave, and that was, but. You fact check a liar. You don't fact check someone who's telling the truth generally. So
yeah. You're feeling, Brett Hume, the network's chief political analyst at Fox, said, quote, "Make no mistake about it, Trump had a bad night. This was pretty much her night." And then it was everybody, Hume saying, I'm saying she certainly had a good night. It was one of those situations in which everyone, even those on the right, seemed to agree that the debate, if you had to award a winner and a loser, and I thought it might play to a draw, frankly, but it was in this case, Kamala Harris clearly the winner of the debate. Again, if you can, pin a winning ticket on one of them, and then Trump the loser.
Yeah, I think that's pretty clear. I think that it's overwhelming. You have Republicans who believe it. I think Democrats were far more candid about President Biden's debate appearance after it happened in June than Republicans were about their nominee's performance. But it's pretty clear who won that debate last night and who lost that debate. And I think that a lot of Democrats are clamoring for another debate. It can't get better than it did last night. But I understand why. You just want to keep showing Donald Trump at his worst. I would imagine, he doesn't take advice very well, supposedly. I've never given it to him, but reports say that he doesn't take it. People who work for him said he doesn't take it. So who knows how he's going to respond to this performance. But if the early returns have anything to do with it, he thinks he won and he thinks it was overwhelming and he thinks he doesn't have to change or do another debate. There was a change in Donald Trump last night before and after the debate that could endure, and that would certainly help. Let's talk about one other thing, Mark, which is what each candidate had to do last night, right? I mean, Kamala Harris, the vice president, had to show that she was capable of being the president, that she could separate herself rhetorically from, and even in terms of policy, from the man who she serves. I wish when she was criticized for what happened in the Biden years, and Trump kept telling us that she was responsible for everything that happened in the Biden years. I wish she would come back and say, are you responsible for everything that happened when you were president? And have him say yes and say, so Mike Pence was too. Because we all know the vice president has nothing to do with policy other than being, a rubber stamp generally or giving advice. But what Donald Trump had to do was convince voters who are not already firmly in his camp that he's the guy to come to, that he's the person. If you left me and you went to Biden in 2020, or you didn't vote in 2020, if you left me and you don't like Biden right now, you got to come back to me. I don't see how he wooed any voters last night. And that's the job he has right now. However many votes he says he got or didn't get, he didn't get enough to win. And he needs to get more votes this time. He did nothing to help that last night.
Yeah, I note that several people watched him in the spin room. I thought it was interesting that the former President Trump went to the spin room. I don't think
Mark. He loves the spin room. I've been in many of them with him.
Oh, is that right?
Okay. His favorite place to be. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I do think you've said something that's super important, and you've noted this before, either explicitly or implicitly, and that is, this is an election that'll be won around the edges. And so even this debate, as dominant maybe as it was, or you could say it was, it still likely lands affecting only those things around the edges. Is that a fair way to put it? You kind of have people so dug in that you're dealing with a real sliver of voters that you're trying to get onto your side.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And also I think when you look at constituencies, you have to look at women as the main constituency, and how these campaigns are appealing to them. I don't know that there were issues that appealed to women that were talked about last night, that Donald Trump is the person that you're going to go to, that traditionally appeal to women. And so he didn't do his job there. I mean, it was a lost opportunity for Donald Trump, and it was a found opportunity for Kamala Harris, who needed a good debate. I mean, there's no question she needed to show up and do well. And by not, by giving her performance last night, I think she did what she had to do.
Michael, thank you for jumping in with us this morning, and we will see you at your regular time on Friday. Really do appreciate your generosity, because I know you've got to get back to that workplace or whatever is going on behind you. Did you? I heard banging of some kind. I don't know.
Well,
What that
there were people in the neighborhood that are working. So
was. Okay, all right. No, all kidding aside, I'm so appreciative. Thanks, man.
all right, thanks a lot, guys.
All right, Michael Shore, everybody. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.